Welcome. Today we're going to talk about question and answer method. It's prepared by Nyambi Padaya and Senyange Owen. So, the question and answer method is an interactive teacher led strategy in which the teacher uses carefully structured questions to guide learners into discovering knowledge, clarifying concepts, and developing deeper understanding. So instead of telling learners everything directly, the teacher leads them through step by step questioning, and this method is rooted in the Socratic teaching approach. So, what preparation is needed for the success of this method? For a Q&A method to be successful, the teacher must undertake thorough preparation. Number one, content mastery. The teacher must have a deep and flexible understanding of the topic and should be able to anticipate students' responses and formulate follow-up questions to that. So the objectivity, or we're going to talk about objectives, that is number two, or learning outcomes. The objectives should be SMART, that is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Number three, the teacher should prepare a logical sequence of questions in advance. Simple terms, before you go into a lesson, you should prepare the questions logically. We should begin with the simple questions as an opening. Yes, as your opening, begin with the simple questions. For example, what is an acid? Then you can go on to probing questions. Then the seek for deeper understanding into explanations. For example, why do acids turn the litmus paper red? And there are these hypothetical questions that can trigger the learners to apply their knowledge to new situations. E.g., what would happen if we mixed this acid with a base? Such questions should be used. Number four, anticipating answers. The teacher should brainstorm possible student answers, both correct and incorrect, and prepare constructive responses or further guiding questions for each. Number five, conduct classroom environment. Conduct, or just forgive me, say conducive classroom environment. You get what I'm saying? So the teacher must prepare to create a safe and supportive classroom environment where the students feel comfortable. I don't know if you've been in that lecture where you feel insecure to raise up your hand and give an answer, raise an answer or give a suggestion or speak to this lecturer or teacher because they're just too, I don't know, what should I say, judgmental. Yes, they're the kind of teachers where you give an answer and they will say, man, just look at this guy. He's stupid. Maybe he woke up on the wrong side of the bed. What? How can you give such an answer? So such teachers usually discourage students from raising up their hands and giving their side of view. So you should create that environment where students are willing to give their answers, whether they are sure that they are right or wrong. So this should be offering students should be offering answers without fear of ridicule. Then question three, how can the effectiveness of the teaching method be assessed? So this teaching method, remember, it's Q&A method. As you're teaching, just asking questions, like students are giving answers, and then they're learning. They're learning during that process. So how can its effectiveness be assessed? Number one, the quality of students' responses. Now, I want you to look at the students' responses. Are they beyond the simple yes or no or the factual recall? Get what I'm saying? Are the students just simply saying yes or no, or they can even explain, they can even recall what you just said previously? So if you see that that is happening, then you know that maybe this method is working. Are the students providing thoughtful reasons and analytical answers? Are they giving answers that so far with the questions you've been asking them and discovering knowledge with them through helping guiding them discover knowledge? Are they able to recall such answers? Are they able to answer questions, to attempt the subsequent questions in a way that shows that they reasoned and analyzed the answers and are speaking out of understanding? Then, number two, level of participation. So, are many students actively trying to answer, or it is just always the same few. So you need to look at that. You see, in class there are always those bright students or the active students. They will always keep on raising up their hands, whether they know the answer or they're not. And let me assure you, there are people who are very bright in that class, but will not raise up their hands to give answers because they're scared. Some of them just say, I don't want, why should I raise up my hand? The other guy's going to give the answer. And let me just keep quiet, let the teacher give us the answer. Such students, those are bright. So to assess, if you want to assess how well this method is working, you look at the level of participation. If you start seeing those students that have not been participating, or participating, if you see like most biggest percentage of the students in class are actively participating in this teaching and learning process, then you know that the method is a go. And if not, trust me, try another method. Then are the students asking their own questions? Number three, the quality of the students' questions. Are they strong? So these are strong indicators of their engagement and depth of thinking. The quality of the students' questions. If they're asking questions back, they're trying to understand something. Maybe you didn't get a question for. For example, if you say, acids, yes, acids turn the blue litmus paper red, and then they're like, but how? What happens there? How comes an acid turns the blue litmus paper to red? How do they change color? What chemical reaction is there? So if you see that they're trying to show their curiosity, their minds are blossoming and they just craving for knowledge, then you know that this method is working. Number four, the teacher can use a quick written exercise at the end of the lesson to get the individual learner's understanding. Number five, transfer of knowledge. Can the students apply the principles discovered during the Q&A session to new unfamiliar problems or scenarios presented later? So you look at how they can apply, check if they can apply this knowledge in their daily lives in the different sectors of life. Then number four, what are the advantages of this method? So we're going to look at the advantages. Number one is that it promotes active learning. It keeps the students mentally engaged and involved in the lesson rather than passively listening. Number two, develops critical thinking. It encourages students to think on their feet and analyze information and formulate arguments. So students don't just, you know, to just be there in class and they're just being spoon fed. So these students are triggered to critically think and reason things out. You get what I'm saying? So they have to analyze content, understand it, and critically think for solutions based on the knowledge that they have so far achieved to solve real world problems. So it triggers critical thinking. Then, number three is the immediate feedback. So the teacher gets instant insight into the students' misconceptions and understanding, allowing for the on spot clarification. So during this method, there is an advantage to it because sometimes teachers go into class and then they teach. So when they teach, they get out of the class thinking everyone has understood. Maybe some few have raised up their hands and they're just so happy, or some others have answered some exercises at the end of lesson exercises and they have aced the thing, and the teachers feel like, yeah, my students have understood. But yet, there are some other students who have not shown understanding, or even these ones that have raised up their hands or have been actively participating, they have misconceived something. They have a misconcept somewhere. So, if the students are giving immediate feedback, you can recognize the misconception, easily recognize the misconception, and immediately clarify that matter for future purposes. Then number four, increases retention. The knowledge that students arrive at through questioning and reasoning is often better remembered than the information that is simply told to them. So if these learners are helped, or they discover knowledge together with you help them discover knowledge for themselves. You'll be like, they critically think and get the answers for themselves. These learners feel more engaged, because they're getting these answers from reasoning things out. They don't just, you know, just spoon feeding them that this is how it is, so they cram it into their heads. This is this. They try to remember the words exactly as they are. No, here they reason things out. So it turns out that when you give them the answer, the correct, when they discover the correct answer, then it all makes sense because they have been meditating, imagining about how this thing logically comes about, me, how this thing logically comes about, and then when they find out the actual thing, they can easily make a recap in their mind and say, oh, so everything becomes clear into their minds. Then number five, it encourages curiosity. Now, a skilled teacher can use questions to spark genuine curiosity and a desire to learn more about the topic. So, if you're talking about encouraging curiosity, you see, we talked about the thing of asking questions. So, when you're in a lecture, in question Q&A method, uh, yeah, these learners usually get curious because you're using the question and answer method, and then they feel like they have the freedom because you've created the conducive environment for them to ask questions. So where they have not understood, they feel like they will ask, but why is this like this? Why is this like this? So in that method, that's why the teacher needs to go well prepared, because these learners are going to ask questions if you use this method. Asking questions, triggering critical thinking. So as they are thinking critically, they might even land on some questions, some blocks of knowledge that they need to understand, and they will ask. So they're so curious. Learners get curious to know more. Now, number the next question: what are the disadvantages of this method? Now, everything has, not everything, most of the things in this world have the good side and the bad side. So this is, much as this Q&A method is a very good method, it also has its um, raw side. Number one, the time consuming. A deep and explanatory Q&A session covering one concept can take much longer than the straightforward lecture. That is very true. Number two, can be intimidating. Some students may be shy, anxious, or fear being wrong in front of their peers, leading to a low participation, and that is very true. Number three, dominancy by a few. The outspoken or the quickest students may answer all the questions, leaving the others behind. And number four, it requires a skilled teacher. So this point is not that correct, but it is correct. Your teacher needs to be skilled in this method. Should have knowledge of this method in order to do it perfectly. It requires a skilled teacher, and it's difficult to facilitate effectively because poorly phrased questions can confuse students, and the discussion can easily veer off topic. Because if a teacher, this is where it goes back to the teacher, you as the educator. You need to phrase these questions in a way that learners will understand what you're trying to ask for them. They will get the real thing that you want to get them to get out of them. Then may number five, it may not cover all the material because this thing, first of all, it takes a lot of time. You're going to make sure you're going to organize different questions that throughout the whole topic. You get what I'm saying? So there got to be a lot of questions, and then these questions might not even cover everything. But remember, they must cover everything. So at a certain time, you can even have 1,000 questions in the single topic in order for you to exhaust the knowledge. So, and that is something that teachers really cannot do in this world. So it may not cover all the material. The organic nature of the discussion means it can be challenging to ensure all planned content is covered within a given time frame. Then there is questions that give three examples of scenarios where the method can be used in teaching chemistry. So this method of teaching chemistry can be used, number one, introducing the periodic law. So instead of simply stating the elements are arranged by atomic number, the teacher can show the students cards with different elements and their properties. Through questioning, uh, for example, how could we organize these cards to show trends? What properties can change as we go down the group? And the students can be guided to discover the periodic table themselves. It might not cover everything. Yes, it might not. They might not clearly get the thing, but at least they may get the idea that they are arranged according to the atomic number, because they will see one, they will see two somewhere, and then they'll figure this thing out. Atomic number is coming out. So at least that one can be an example. Then number two, balancing chemical equations. The teacher can start with this simple unbalanced equation like hydrogen reacting with oxygen giving water. So by asking guiding questions, how many hydrogen atoms are on the left? So the students will answer the number. Then on the right, then they will answer, what does the law of conservation of mass tell us must be true about the number of atoms? Hmm. They tell you, what can we change to make the number of hydrogens equal? What can we change? Then they'll say, we have to maybe do something the other side. And they'll be like, well, if then we don't need, then they will answer, we don't have to do anything if there is nothing that needs to be done. Students can walk through the logic of balancing. Then number three, understanding diamond and graphite. So the teacher writes on the board, diamond is very hard and does not conduct electricity. Then writes the second statement. Graphite is soft and conducts electricity. Then the teacher asks, both are made of carbon. Why are they different? So the students will reason up. Give answers. How many bonds does the carbon form in diamond? Hmm. How many bonds does carbon form in graphite? And they will answer. Is there a free electron in graphite? Are graphite layers strongly or weakly joined? Which structure is stronger? One joined in all directions or one made of layers? So what learners discover, this is what they will discover, that in diamond, each atom, each carbon forms four strong bonds in all directions. Four strong bonds in all directions. It is very hard and there are no free electrons. Therefore, it does not conduct electricity. So I think you've discovered these questions. We hope these learners discover this knowledge, because you put some paper, you put some drawing, maybe projected on the screen or drawn or whatever, chat. So it will show this. So the picture plus the questions will guide them get the answers. So we're seeing that in diamond they have discovered, in graphite they have discovered that each carbon forms three bonds. Yes, they're seeing it visually and they can be able to answer, leaving one free electron. Yeah, because we know it has to form four bonds. Then it's forming three. Then we see it conducts electricity. Yes, and this is why does it conduct electricity? Because it has this free electron. Then the layers are weakly held, so it is soft. So the learners understand that the fact that these layers are weakly held together makes this graphite soft. So they have quickly understood this thing, got it, and it will take time for them to forget it. Some of them will never forget it. So that is it. Thank you for listening. As you can like and subscribe and comment, you can share. Yeah, it will really support my channel. Yeah, let us change this world. Teachers, let us change this world.